Hello students of Honours third year. Today I am here with you with the course 16th and 17th century poetry. So far as I know, you have completed John Donne, the poems of John Donne. Today we are going to read Andrew Marvell's poems, and we have two poems in our syllabus, that is To His Coy Mistress and The Definition of Love. Students, you know, Andrew Marvell was a metaphysical poet. He was a satirist and a politician. He was educated from Trinity College, Cambridge. He was a friend and colleague of John Milton, though he was known as a strong supporter of Republican during the English Revolution of 1649. His famous poems are To His Coy Mistress, The Definition of Love, Upon Appleton House, The Garden, and Horatian Ode, which is a political address, and Flacno, it is a satire. Students, I am going to read the poem To His Coy Mistress. The name of the poem indicates that the poet addresses his beloved. Coy means shyness, shy, and mistress means sweetheart or beloved. So, To His Coy Mistress, this poem is similar to the poem written by John Donne, The Good Morrow, that you have read in your first year. Students, had we but world enough and time, this coyness lady were no crime. We would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love's day. Though by the Indian Ganga's side shouldst rubies find, I by the ride of Humber complain. I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversation of the Jews. The very first line is very dramatic. It started suddenly. Had indicates if. If we had enough time and enough space, this coyness lady were no crime. Students, the words used by Andrew Marvell is very common and easy to understand. So if you read the poem carefully, you can easily understand the poem. I am going to tell you the theme of the poem right now. To His Coy Mistress, it is a representative poem of Andrew Marvell. Here, the poet urges his beloved to shake off her shyness and allow him sexual favors. In order to soften Twitter sin and to relax her rigid attitude of puritanical reluctance to grant him sexual favor, the lover offers a strong plea for the beloved. He says that had time and space been at their favor, they would have sat down and thought which way to walk and pass the long period of their love. If time and space were under their control, the beloved would roam about by the Indian Ocean, Indian Gangas, and find rubies, and the lover himself would continue complaining about his unfulfilled love by River Humber in England. He would start loving her 10 years before the great deluge during the period of Noah, when the prophet Noah and his obedient followers were saved from the flood in an ark, and all the disobedient followers were drowned. This stanza shows the poet's extraordinary blending of passion and thought. Now the next stanza. My vegetable love should grow, vaster than empires and more slow, and 100 years should go to praise thin eyes and on the forehead gaze, 200 to adore each breast, but 30,000 to the rest. And age at least to every part, and the last days should show your heart. For, lady, you deserve this state. Now, would I love at lower rate? Here the poet hyperbolically says that if they really had enough time, he would spend 100 years in praising her eyes and gazing on her forehead. He would spend 200 years in adoring each of her breasts. And he would spend 30,000 years in praising the remaining parts of her body. He would spend at least an age to praise each limb of her body, and the last age would be devoted to a description of her heart. So, student, you see the first stanza. This is the first section of the poem. Here the poet tells us the state of the situation, like other metaphysical poets. And the second section starts with but. Now, but at my back I always hear time swing chariot hurrying near, and yonder all before us lie deserts of vast eternity. Thy beauty shall no more be found, nor in thy marble vault shall sound my echoing song. Then arms shall try that long preserved virginity, and your quaint honor turn to dust, and into ashes all my lust. The grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. Student, you can underline these two lines. It is a very important lines, two lines for explanation and also universally true. The grave's a fine and private place, but none, I think, do there embrace. The second section starts with but. But the problem is that he is always hearing behind him the sound of the flying chariot of time hurrying to overtake them. Time is passing at a very high speed, and eventually they will have to face the desert of eternity. The poet says that after some years her beauty will no longer be found on this earth, because after her death she will be placed in the private place called grave. In the grave, her proud chastity will be violated by worms. Her proud honor will turn to dust, and the lover's carnal desire will turn into ashes. The third section starts with now, therefore. Now, therefore, while the youthful hue sits on the skin like morning dew, and while thy willing soul transpires, and every pore with instant fires, now let us sport us while we may, and now, like amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour, than languish in his slow chapped power. Let us roll all our strength and all our sweetness up into one ball, and tear our pleasures with rough strife through the iron gates of life. Thus, though we cannot make our sun stand still, yet we will make him run. The third stanza, or this last stanza, shows that the carpe diem theme. Carpe diem means to seize the opportunity. That is, the poet here says that whatever has happened before, now what we will have to do, that we will enjoy this time. We will enjoy this time. And the third section begins the word now, therefore. Here the lover draws a conclusion that now it would be proper for both the lovers to enjoy the pleasures of love making when there is still time, when our skin is still youthful and fresh, and when our soul is still burning with a desire for love making. Like amorous birds of prey, they should enjoy the pleasures of love making. They should roll all their strength and all their sweetness into one cannonball and shoot it through their iron gates of life. Students, that's the poem. That's the summary of the poem. Now, you see, and you will find the poem very interesting when you are going to read it. The poet here addresses his beloved as quay mistress. তাকে বলছে যে তুমি কেন লজ্জা পাচ্ছ, তুমি লজ্জা না পেয়ে তুমি যে লজ্জা পাচ্ছ এটাকে কোনো অপরাধ বলে মনে করা হতো না যদি না আমরা আমাদের হাতে অনেক সময় থাকতো। উই হ্যাভ এনাফ টাইম এন্ড স্পেস ফর লাভ মেকিং। অ্যান্ড তারপর সে স্ট্রংলি তাকে কি বলবো, তাকে করার জন্য, তাকে কনভিন্স করার জন্য, বেলাফকে কনভিন্স করার জন্য বলছে যে তোমাকে আমি অনেক আগে থেকে ভালোবাসতে শুরু করেছি। সেই নূহ আলাইহিস সালামের যে প্লাবন এসেছিল তারও আগে থেকে তোমাকে আমি ভালোবাসছি। আর যদি সময় থাকতো তাহলে আমরা কি করতাম, তুমি গঙ্গার ধারে, গঙ্গার পাশে বা গঙ্গার সৈকতে রুবি কুড়াতে, আর আমি কমপ্লেইন করতেই থাকতাম অ্যাবাউট হিজ আনফুলফিলড ডিজায়ার্স। দেন he supports and to convince to convince her, the poet again points out that সে 10 বছর ধরে তার চোখের প্রশংসা করত, তারপর আরও 30 বছর ধরে তার ব্রেস্টের প্রশংসা করত। এভাবে কবি আসলে চেয়েছেন তার শাইনেসটাকে শাইনেসটা যাতে কাটিয়ে ওঠে, তার বিলাভ যাতে তার সাথে তার প্রস্তাবে রাজি হয়, তার ডিজায়ারটা ফুলফিল করে। আর সব শেষে যেটা বলেছি যে থার্ড সেকশনে অ্যাজ ইউজুয়াল যে মেটাফিজিক্যাল পোয়েমসগুলো আমরা যেরকম দেখি, থার্ড সেকশনটাতে এসে একটা কনক্লুশন ড্র করা হয়। এখানেও তাই করা হয়েছে যে আমরা যা হয়েছে যা করেছি সব ঠিক আছে, এখন এই সময়টাকে আমাদের উপভোগ করা উচিত। কারণ কবর খুব ভালো জায়গা, বাট সেখানে যেয়ে কেউ মিলিত হতে পারে না। আর যখন কবরে চলে যাবে তখন তোমার সৌন্দর্যও থাকবে না, আর আমার যে ইচ্ছা সেগুলোও থাকবে না, সেগুলো অ্যাশ হয়ে যাবে, সেগুলো পোকা এসে তোমার সৌন্দর্যকে খেয়ে ফেলবে। এভাবে কবিতাটিতে মূলত অনেক ইমেজারি, সিমিলিস, মেটাফোরগুলো ব্যবহার করা হয়েছে। উই উইল discuss on the poem about the technical side and about critical appreciation of the poem in our next class. Students, I like to deliver a suggestion for you. That is for your final exam and also for your test exam. If possible, we will take test exam before your final exam. And here is the suggestion. On his third year 2017-18 session, and subject code 231103, 16th 17th poetry. Part B, short questions. Here you have 14 short questions. You will have to answer 5 short questions out of 8, and explanations are there, and also broad questions 5 out of 8. And so here is the suggestion. Students, this suggestion is for your final exam and also for your test exam. So students, that's for today. In our next class, we will again discuss on to his poem stress, the main aspects of the poem. And till then, thank you to all of you being with me. Have a nice time.